Welcome to LiveDaf, your online Daf Yomi Shir.
Shalom Aleichem and welcome back to today's Daf Yomi, Menachos Daf Kuf Vav. We begin 9 lines from the top of the Amud back to the Mishnah, where this fellow donated some specific mincha, but he can't recall which one. The Mishnah says he has to cover all possibilities, all options, and therefore he has to bring all 5 types. Menachos ha-soilas, Menachos ha-machvas, marcheshes, chales, and rekikin. Ask the Gemara, but there's one more possibility. Amalei Rav Kahana Rav Ashi. V'ikal sfuka, you can still have a suffix regarding another one. B'minchas nesachem, which is a very basic mincha. There's no kmitza. It's flour mixed with oil, which typically accompanies a korban. But as we learned the other day, Damar Rava, one can actually donate this as a separate standalone offering. Damar Rava misnadav adam minchas nesachem b'chol yom. You can do it any day. So why isn't that another, possibility? In which case, it adds another requirement. He has to add another mincha to his list. Well, says the Gemara, this is not really a standard mincha. It's lacking many elements that are found in the standard menachos, and therefore, unless specified, we assume he didn't mean this one. Kika mestapkali. This fellow only has a suffix regarding the following standard menachos. So he only has to take into account b'glal yachid, a mincha which can only be offered by a yachid, by a private person, which is a standard mincha, as opposed to a mincha which is b'glal tzibur, that it's tzibur the public can bring, like a minchas nesachem. That's a different realm, a different brand. Lo mistapkale, that's not part of his equation. Kika mistapkale, furthermore, he only has a suffix regarding b'glal atzma, a mincha which comes as a separate independent mincha, such as those 5 standard menachos, as opposed to minchas nesachem, which is b'glal zevach, which typically comes on account of a korban, it accompanies a korban. It's a different brand. Lo mistapkale. Again, that's not part of his equation. Kika mistapkale, he only has a suffix if it's tuna lavaina, standard mincha which needs lavaina. She'ena tuna lavaina lo mistapkale, but not minchas nesachem which doesn't have lavaina. Furthermore, kika mistapkale, the suffix only applies but belug, a mincha which comes along with a lug of shemen, which is standard, as opposed to minchas nesachem, which is ba b'shloish lug and comes along with 3 lug. Lo mistapkale, his suffix doesn't apply to that. And finally, kika mistapkale, the suffix only applies if it's to a kmitza, regular mincha which requires kmitza, as opposed to minchas nesachem she'ena tuna kmitza, which does not have kmitza. It's on a different track, and therefore, like mistapkale, he knows he didn't have that in mind. Next, pirash de mincha shel yisroinim. A fellow comes over and he says, "Look, I pegged a number to it in terms of how much flour, how many yisroinim, typically a mincha has 1. I know that I specified more than 1 to be mixed into the same kli, but I can't remember how much it was. Was it 1? Was it 2? Was it 60? So if machlokes in the Mishnah how to proceed, Rabbanan say, pack 60, which is the maximum that a yachid can bring in 1 mincha, into 1 bowl, and now you're covered. Whatever you meant to bring, you meant to bring. The rest is just, Rebbe says, no way. He says, you can't do that. Rather, the correct solution is to line up 60 separate bowls and place a separate amount in each bowl, numbering from 1 to 60. So the first bowl will have 1 Yisroin, the second will have 2 Yisroines, the third will have 3, all the way up to 60. This way you know that somewhere amongst the group you'll have a mincha with the correct amount of Yisroines. Tanarabban, here comes a price. Pirash de mincha shel Yisroinim, there's a Gersas Habach shel Yisroinim, v'kovati b'kli echad. I specified that it's going to be mixed into the same kli, but I'm not sure how many. I don't recall the number of any adeya. Ma pirashti, what did I specify? Yavi mincha shel shishim Yisroin, the Chacham. Chacham say it gets away relatively cheap. take one bowl, pack in 60, and you're done. Rabbi Omer, no. Yavi menachos. You must bring separate menachos, 60 of them. Shel Yisroinim, each one compiled of a specific amount of Yisroinim, numbering from 1 till 60, me'echad b'ad shishim, which gets you to a grand total of 1,830 Yisroinis. No less. Shein elef u'shmoine meyes u'shleishim. It's the only way to cover all possibilities. What's the machlekes based on? We'll discuss it later. We'll have no less than 4 ways to explain this machlekes. Now comes a more confusing situation. Pirashti. This fellow can't recall the number of Yisroinis, but also can't recall which type of mincha. There are 5 possibilities. So he's going to have to multiply these numbers by 5. Pirashti, Venidea ma pirashti, I'm not sure which one. Venidea mehen pirashti. The Bach some take out this duplicate lashon. Venidea kama pirashti, I'm not sure how many, so it's a question of which type and how many. According to the Chachamim, you still get away relatively cheap. You'll do 60 times 5. Yavi chamish menachos. Yavi chamish menachos shishim Yisroin. Brings 5 big bowls containing, each one containing 60, which is a total of only 300 Yisroin. Shem shalish me divrei Chachamim. Rabbi Omer, no, it's 5 times 1830. Yavi chamish menachos shel shishim Yisroin me'echad b'ad shishim. He has to bring 5 sets of those of that previous arrangement. 60 bowls going from 1 to 60 times 5. Shehem, which gets you to a grand total of Tisha Alafim, 9,000, Umeya v'chamishim, 150. Micah Miflegi, what's the machlekes about? What's going on? Why would Rebbe require separate, menachos? Why can't you just pack it in together and make a t'nai, whatever I owe, the rest is Micah Miflegi. Amar Chizda. You see, according to the Chachamim, he presents a bowl which is packed with 60 Yisroin, and he says, look, he specifies, whatever I'm supposed to do, the chayva is chayva. The rest is just chulin, remains, mundane material. And you can do that. And that's the machlekes. Amar Chizda, b'mutar lahachnes chulin la'azara k'mifli. Is one allowed to bring in mundane material into the azara for this purpose? Rabbanan say yes. Therefore, you can get away with one package, part of which may very well be not kaddish, just chulin. That's okay. Rabbi says you can't do that. So therefore, the only way around this issue is to bring separate menachos, in which case you say, look, whatever the magic number is, that's my chayva, that's my obligation, and the rest is just nadav, it's a donation. Rabbi Sabra also lahachnes chulin lazar. You may not bring chulin to the azara. Therefore, that's the only way to do it. Rabbanan Sabri, they hold, mutar lahachnes chulin lazara. You can do that if you need to. So just pack in 60 into one bowl. Whatever is chayva is chayva. The rest is chulin. Now you can't say the rest will be nadava, because Rashi explains at this point in the Gemara, the Chachamim hold you can't mix obligatory material with voluntary material. Mincha v'chayva, mincha nadava. You can't mix it into the same bowl. So the only way is to leave the rest as non-kodesh, as chulin, and you can do that. That's one approach. Rava Amar, no. The Kuliyam all agree. Also lahachnes chulin azar. You can't bring chulin de azar. It's not respectful. It's not appropriate. Rather, even according to Chachamim, you're going to pack 60 into the bowl. What you're going to say is, whatever I'm chayiv is my chayva. Whatever else is a nadava. It's like a menachos nadava, which I'm giving right now out of the goodness of my heart. And the question is, can you do that? Can you mix 2 types of menachos into one bowl? The question is, could you mix chayva and nadava in the same bowl? Rabbanan Sabra, yep, mutar la'arev chayva and nadava, and therefore this is the correct and easy solution. Rabbi Sabra, no, you can't. Also la'arev chayva and nadava, you can't mix. They're competing entities. You can't mix them to the same bowl. Rather, you have to bring them as separate menachos from 1 till 60 to cover all your possibilities. Okay, Amuli Abai l'Rav. I have a question to you. The Rabbanan da Amri mutar la'arev chayva v'nadava. Okay, according to you, Rabbanan hold you can mix chayva and nadava. Fine. So far, so good. But you know that every mincha needs to have a kmitza. How are you going to get the kmitza from the chayva and a mincha from the nadava? They're 2 separate menachos technically, which each one requires its own kmitza. You need 2 kmatzim over here. The answer is you will. You'll do a kmitza and another one. The comment, he does one kmitza. For other comments, another kmitza. Rashi says, Chad l'chayva, chad l'nedava. One is for the chayva part, one is for the possible nedava. By the way, we don't know for sure if there's nedava. Perhaps he pledged all 60 Yisar and he just can't remember the number. But on the chance, he'll do a second kmitza for the nedava. Ask the Gemara, what do you mean? But they're all mixed together. It's one mush. V'ka-comment, he doesn't have a separate area for chayva, separate for nedava. He's basically doing two kmitzas from the same spot and mixing up the materials. V'ka-comment, chayva, he's doing kmitza from the chayva on a dava on the part which is really meant to be nedava, and vice versa. Nedava chayva, he's doing the kmitza from the nedava on the chayva. It's all one big mix. The answer is a totally b'das ha'kayin. The owner makes it contingent upon the intention of the kayin. Basically, let him verify. Let him, with his act of kmitza, he will now determine what's chayva, what's nedava. You can do that retroactively. I told him that's kohen. The Amar, he says like this: whichever spot the kohen reaches first, whichever scoop he does first, that's for the chayva. That will be part of the chayva material. Well, the second scoop will now be determined, verified, and confirmed as nedava material. Fine. So we addressed the offering of the menachos, the kmitza. What about the haktarah? That presents a challenge. Why? How is it going to burn? How is it going to place the kmitza on mizbeach? So let's picture it. He has two kmitzas. Let's call them A, which is the chayva, and B, which is on account that there's nedava. We don't know there is, but just in case, he has a second one. We're labeling it nedava, A and B. A is chayva, B is nedava. He has to be maked in both, right? Just in case he needs both. But vaktur hechi makta, how's he going to lick the nedava b'rish? Should start with B. Put that on the mizbeach first. He's going to get stuck now. The chayva, so the one that's labeled chayva, which is A, hechi makta, how's he going to be makta it? Why? What's wrong? Dilma, maybe kula chayva. Maybe in reality, all 60 in this bowl was really chayva because he pledged 60. So really, only A is the real legitimate kaimetz, right? Now, if he was makter B first, B wasn't really needed. It was just shirayim of A, if in fact the whole thing is chayva. So, if you makter the shirayim, you cannot proceed with haktarah v'kaimetz. That's the halacha. If part of the mincha goes missing before haktarah, you can't do the kaimetz. And by being makter B, which in essence is really only shirayim, if in fact he pledged all 60, it's all one big mincha. So B was really just shirayim, leftovers of the kmitza. V'amar, we learned shirayim goes missing between the act of kmitza l'aktorah and the aktorah of the real kaimetz. You're stuck. Ein makter kaimetz. You can't do the kaimetz at this point. So that's not an option. Okay, let's turn the tables. Likter chayva b'reisha. Let him do haktorah on chayva, which is A. Do that first. Fine, that's great. But then how's he going to do B? The nedava, the second kmitza, which we're labeling B, which is nedava, hechi makta, how can you do haktorah on that? We switch Talmud base. What's the problem? Because again, maybe really, v'dilma kula chayva, maybe the entire bowl is consisting of chayva material. He was obligated to bring all 60, he pledged 60. So really only A is legitimate. B is really just leftovers. The halach is you cannot be makter leftovers. You're not allowed to. Any carbon from which something was taken to the mizbeach, which renders this remaining material as leftovers, you can't be makter. Sure, I don't belong on the mizbeach. Are you about haktir? There's an issa be makter leftovers. I'll give you a solution. The masiklu lushum eitz. When he proceeds and is makter B, which may possibly be just shirayim, he has in mind that just in case it is shirayim, then you know what? I'm not intending on really offering it as a korban. I'm just putting it up there as firewood material to facilitate the burning of the korban, just like firewood. And that's allowed, even by shirayim, as long as it wasn't for the sake of haktorah. You can't be makter shirayim, but you can put shirayim as firewood. The son of Lezer Omer, Lezer holds you can do that. L'rech nechoyach, which is the pasuk forbidding being makter shirayim. It says l'rech nechoyach. Don't do it to generate the aroma of a carbon for the sake of carbon. You can't offer on the Mizbeach. You could do it for the sake of firewood. That's a good solution. So again, according to Chachamim, packs in 60 into one bowl, conditions it as follows: in case it's all obligatory, fine. Otherwise, whatever is chayva, and the other part is nedava. He makes a double kmitza. His makter A first, which is the chayva, and B, which is theoretically for nedava, makter number 2. And just in case it's not, just in case it's merely leftovers, it's shirayim, l'shem eitzim. Amali Rav Acha b'Rav Rav Ashi. Now, let's shift to Rebbe. What does Rebbe hold? We already explained. He's hold that you can't mix chayva and nedava in the same bowl. They're competing entities. You can't mix two, minchas together. Who says that's his reason? Who says that's why he obligates this fellow to bring 60 different menachos, because you can't join chayva and nedava? Maybe that's not the issue. You see, we've just concluded that according to the Chachamim, you have to resort to Rebbe Lezer's chiddush that intention plays a role, right? That allows you to be makter even something which is perhaps shirayim. So maybe that's the point of contention. Rebbe, in theory, would agree to the Rabbanan. You could pack it all into one bowl, chayva, and possibly nedava. That's not the issue. The issue is because he doesn't agree with Rebbe Lezer's concept that you could do things with the intention of eitzim. So therefore, the shirayim problem is what stands out. Maybe that's the issue. Again, perhaps now, in explaining Rebbe, we can say the kuli alma mutar la'arav chayva b'nedava. Perhaps everybody, even Rebbe, agrees you can put chayva and nedava in the same bowl. That's not the issue. V'acham the Rebbe Lezer committed. V'acham we're all in Rebbe Lezer's chiddush. The Rabbanan who employ Rebbe Lezer's solution islu the Rebbe Lezer, the whole Rebbe Lezer's idea. So we're safe because it's all about intentions. Rebbe on the other hand does not hold to that. Lastly, the Rebbe Lezer he holds you can't take your chances just in case the second komitz is shirayim, you got a problem. Maybe that's the issue. So he said, no, that can't be the point of contention. I'll prove to you. This cannot be the reason why, according to Rebbe, he's obligated to line up 60 bowls, 830 or 9,000. That's not the issue. You know why? Because if the only concern was Rebbe Lezer's point, the only concern was that perhaps the second komitz is really just shirayim, I have a way around that. In a way that saves him lots of expense. He doesn't have to bring 1830. He can just bring 61. Okay, more than 60. Rabbanan say 60, but according to Rebbe, 61. And that will solve all the issues. If in fact this is the only problem. We'll see that in a minute. So, being that we're going to prove otherwise, apparently that's not the issue. The issue is more fundamental. You cannot mix chayva and nedava in the same bowl. Therefore, the only way around this is to bring separate menachos, one of which will be the chayva and the rest nedava. Normally, says like this. It's not gedaitach. If you'll suggest that the Rebbe mutal arav chayva and nedava, look, even according to Rebbe, you can mix chayva and nedava in the same bowl. That's not the issue. Just rather, the issue is the Rebbe Eliezer. He doesn't know the Rebbe Eliezer's idea, and therefore we're concerned that perhaps a second komitz is nedava, which is not even nedava, it's just shirayim, and you can't bring it on the mizbeach. Listen to a fascinating solution. Efshar, you can do like this. The ma'isi shitin b'chadmano. Let him pack 60 into one bowl. Okay? And then another separate bowl to the left of that. V'chad, which will have a single isarin, b'chadman in the next bowl. B'chadman. So he has, let's say, one bowl to the right, packed with 60, one bowl to the left, with only a single isarin. And he specifies like this. He declares like this. He says, the one on the right with the 60, that contains my chayva, whatever it is. I'm not sure the number. If it's 18, chay, or maybe all 60, that's my chayva. If there's anything in there that's not my chayva, that should be nedava. And it's okay, because you can put them in the same bowl. What about the kmitza of the nedava part? Which may not even be nedava, may not even exist. Perhaps the whole thing is chayva. That's the issue that we're dealing with, right? Oh, hold it. I have another bowl to the left, which has which contains a single yisrael, which is certainly a donation. That's nedava, which requires a kmitza. Legitimate kmitza for nedava. But we're not done. Umagalu, he taps the minchas to each other. He sort of makes them touch each other. The 60 and the 1, which sort of makes a connection, which now allows him to do the kmitza on the left, single isarein bowl, and allows him to make that kmitza in a way that it accommodates. He also has in mind that if there's any material in the right bowl, which is also nedava, which is extra, he doesn't know, but just in case, I want that kmitza to accommodate that as well, to address that as well. And the fact that he tapped it together allows him to do that. It's like one entity. One is required to make kmitza from a connected entity. It has to be connected, it has to be the same entity. So that's enough for that. That suffices to connect them. That just in case there's nedava material to the right, he's not sure, but just in case there is, I've now connected that to the left mincha. Now the kmitza on the left mincha, which is certainly a legitimate kmitza, because there's one there that's certainly nedava, without a question, will address the remaining nedava material in the right bowl as well. And now he can go be makter both kamatzim, no problem. Kaimitz A, which is chayva, Kaimitz B, which was taken off the left bowl, is certainly okay. It's not shirayim, it's certainly nedava. It may have even accommodated some nedava material in the right bowl as well. Perfect solution of a kaimitz. There's a kmitz on the left, and he's makter it. The fact that Rebbe does not provide this option as a solution, apparently because he holds you can't mix chayva and nedava together. You can't pack material in a bowl more than you know is necessary. You can't allow the rest to be nedava in the same bowl. Hence, the 60 separate bowls. Rav Amar comes the third way to explain the machlekes. Everybody allows mixing chayv and nedava in the same bowl. That's not the issue. And likewise, with the islu, the Rabbi Eliezer, everybody holds Rabbi Eliezer, as long as he has the right intention, there's no issue of bimakta the shirayim. So, if that's the case, what's the machlekes? Oh, machlekes relates to the oil issue. There's another issue altogether. How much oil do you put into the mincha? V'ach beflukta the Rabbi Eliezer and Yaakov, v'rabbanan kamifli, machlekes by us, correlates to another machlekes that we had a couple of days ago between Rabbanan, Eliezer, and Yaakov. This now we had a Mishnah, so we know that in a sarein, a standard mincha which has a sarein, a flour, has a lug of oil. Well, let's say you increase on the flour, you go to 2 to 3. Do you keep with that ratio of 1 to 1? 3 is sarein is 3 lug, or do you say no? The single lug accommodates up until the maximum, which is 60. That's the machlekes. It's not a filu mincha shel samach isarein. The Rabbanan hold, you have a mincha containing 60 isarein that also multiplies the oil. Noisin lo samach lug, 60 lug, so it's 1 to 1. No. It always stays with a standard lug. A filu mincha shel shishim isarein, even a mincha packed with 60 isarein, ein la lug, it only gets a lug. Shenamar, as the pasuk says, la mincha, a mincha, irrespective of size, a lug shaman gets only a lug. That's the machlekes. So is it 1 to 1, or is it 1 lug for the entire package? How does that pertain to our discussion? So this fellow can't recall how many isarein he promised. Rabbanan say, pack 60 into the bowl. Why? Rabbanan savri. So Rabbanan by us hold, Rabbanan like the Rabbanan over there, who say it's always going to stay 1 to 1. 1 lug of oil to 1 isarein. So it's always going to keep to the same ratio. The Amri they hold, samach lug, 60 isarein gets 60 lug. V'chol chad v'chad, and every isarein, v'chol chad v'chad isarein, lug kol shakel, every isarein of flour deserves its lug. So whether you have a small mincha of 1 isarein, gets 1 lug, 1 to 1, whether you go up to 60, it's still going to be 1 to 1. 60 isarein to 60 lug. Therefore, the Rabbanan say, why bother with 1830? Just take a bowl, pack it in with 60. 60 of each, isarein, 60 lug, and you're safe. Specify. Whatever in there is my chayva, let's say it's chay, 18, okay, 18 isarein, 18 lug, and the rest is the dava. Right? There's no change in proportion and ratio. However, Rebbe disagrees. He also like Rebbe Yaakov. Damar says a bigger mincha keeps to the same lug of oil. Damar ein la luga. So that gets us into a pickle, because in this case, where he doesn't know how many isarein he promised. So what do you say? Pack in 60 into the bowl, that's the maximum. But how much oil? Every mincha needs a lug. Is this 1 mincha? Did he pledge all 60 as 1 minchas chayva? That's 1 lug. Or did he pledge only 18 chay? So the remaining 42 isarein needs its own lug. It's a separate mincha. It's a minchas adava. So you got to put an extra lug. He's not sure which way to go. So it's not going to work. Rabbi Yaakov Damar says, "Ein la luga." No matter how big the mincha is, it's only 1 lug. It's 1 lug per mincha, and therefore in our case, we're not sure. We don't know where to go. the entire package here, all 60, one minchas chayva, did he pledge 60? The sagil of b'chad lug, which would suffice with one lug of oil, or is it composition of two menachos? Chayva and the rest is nidava, which requires two lugin. Shtei menachos, are they two? The bina which requires shnei lugin. So that's not a solution. Therefore, he has to separate them from 1 to 60. Rav Ashi Amar, here comes yet a fourth explanation. Really, when the Rabbanon say pack 60 into one bowl, you know what they mean? Not that the rest will be chulin or nadav. No, what he's saying is like this. I can't remember how much. I'm going to give the maximum. Let that be my fulfillment of my neder. I'm expanding. I'm upgrading. It's one mincha. I just upgraded my pledge, my donation. Can you do that? Rabbanon say you could. Rabbi says no, you can't. It's a new entity. You have to stick to the original format. Even if you add, adding sometimes is detracting. That's Rabbi's opinion. Because it's no longer the original, entity. When a person promised something small, he brought something big. Rabbanan Savri, great. Katan, maybe godly, promised less and he gave more yatsa, that's okay. Right? The bigger one includes the smaller one, right? Rabbi says no, Rabbi says it doesn't work. And therefore the only way is to bring separate menachos from 1 to 60. Now, why discuss this again? We already have a discussion regarding animal sizes. The same machlekes has been discussed elsewhere. This none. He promised a smaller animal and brought a bigger one. It's okay. Rabbi Yaimin lo yatse is not yatse because bigger is not always better. So why the repetition? Tzricha, there was a point in discussing the same machlekes by the animals and by the menachos. Each one has its own unique, properties. If we only discuss it over here by the Menachos, there's room to think. Over here, Rabbanan say, what's the difference? Either way, whether it's a mincha of 18 Yisrael or 60, ultimately, what's going to be offered on the Mizbeach? Just a kaimetz, just a scoop. So in terms of the actual material that's burned, that's actually considered the korban, it's only a kaimetz, irrespective of how big the mincha is. So size of the mincha is not really relevant. But by the animals, different animals, different breed. There's more fats. It's a whole different offering. The konafishi and they more get increased. So perhaps it's a different offering. You can't do that if you promise less. Perhaps they agree to Rebbe that you can't modify even if you upgrade. So that's why we mentioned it there as well. On the other hand, we only discuss the case of the animals. I would say Behi Kam Rebbe over there. Rebbe says we got to stick with the original size because bigger is different. Aval Bahaba by the Menachos, where technically the mincha, even if it's bigger, but the kmitza stays the same. Ema Moedul Rabban perhaps agrees to the Rabban. It's not an issue. Tzricha. That's why it's discussed over there and over here. In all cases, we have the same machlekes. So in summation, a fellow pledged a certain number of Yisraelis. He doesn't recall. Can't remember how many. Rabbanan say pack 60 into one bowl. Whatever you meant to bring, you're bringing, and the rest is just either chulin or nadava, depending on the pshat in the Gemara. According to Rebbe, that's not a solution. You got to bring 60 separate bowls, each one with a specified amount of Yisroinos, covering all numbers from 1 to 60. So what's the machlekes about? We have 4 ways to explain. First pshat is, according to Rabbanan, the leftover is chulin, and you can do it. Rabbi says you can't bring chulin the azara. Next pshat is, can you mix nedava and chayva together? Next pshat is, you're going to run into issues with the oil. The final pshat is, can a person modify, even if he's upgrading? Is that okay? Rabbi says no. Rabbanan say it's okay. Continues the mission. So again, the fellow gets up and makes some sort of pledge, but using obscure language, unspecified intentions, and we have to try to figure out what he had in mind. I really eitzim. He promises eitzim for the mizbeach, not as firewood, as an offering. You can offer eitzim as a korban. How much? Well, at the least, at the minimum, he has to bring 2 blocks, which are typically brought to the mizbeach. 2 of those, 2 blocks of wood. He pledged levina, spice. How much? At a minimum, it's going to be a kaimetz, because that's considered the bare minimum for hakrovas hakaimetz, hakrovas halavayim. On this topic, says the Mishnah, chamisha k'motzim. There are 5 halachas that relate to the shiur of a kaimetz. Firstly, is what we just said. A person promised levayna. At a minimum, it's going to be a kaimetz. Hamanadav mincha. Person donates a mincha. Okay, the standard mincha comes along with a kaimetz of levayna. Yalbe imo kaimetz levayna. Number 2. Number 3. Hamalas hakaimetz b'chutz. There's a mincha, and a person that chooses to take the kaimetz of that mincha and burns it outside the Beis Hamikdash. That's a severe transgression. Chayiv is chayiv, provided that there's a shear of a kaimetz, which is deemed an act of akrava, because it's suitable in the Beis Hamikdash. So taking it outside is a violation. And finally, we have lechem apana, which has those 2 spoons, each one containing a kaimetz volume of levayna. Shnei bazichna, 2 spoons. 2 shnei kmatzim require 2 kaimetz of levayna. Continues the Mishnah. A person promises, pledges gold, a gold coin. So how much is that? You can go from the biggest to the small. At least, at a minimum, he has to donate a dinar of gold. That's the smallest gold coin. What about a silver coin, kesef? At a minimum, a dinar of kesef. What about a fellow who pledged nechayshas, copper? Oh, we assume he doesn't mean a little copper penny. We assume he's intending on giving a substantial, a davar chashav. So he has to bring copper valued at equal in value to a small silver coin. That's considered something substantial, and that's what he had in mind. Now, let's say in all these cases he didn't really specify, so we have to sort of decipher and define his intention, and define the linguistics that we used, right? But let's say he actually specified. He pledged a certain amount and he can't remember. Oh, it's going to cost him. Pirashti, he says, look, I specified an amount. I can't remember how much. Was it $1? Was it 10? Was it $1 million? Let's go, pile it in. Yeah, maybe he has to bring, add, until he gets to the point where he says, no, this is certainly beyond my purview. I certainly didn't have this in mind. Until he can confidently tell us, I didn't mean this far. Turn it up on him. How could a person donate firewood? Wood to the mizbeach, karban. We have a pasuk by mincha. Nefesh kisakriv karban mincha. The word karban is extra. Malamet to teach us shemisnadvan eitz. A person can donate wood as a karban. V'kama. What's the minimum? Shnei gzir in 2 blocks. Remember, we find another pasuk which relates to a wood offering as karban. V'hagayrolos heipalnu. We through the lotteries to win the privilege of al carbon eitzim, to bring carbon of fire of wood. Rabbi Omer takes it a step further. Eitzim carbonim. This wood is considered a carbon and must be treated accordingly. Sprinkled with salt, tunin melach, right? Eitzim carbonim. Hey, matun tunin melach, tunin nagash. You have to tap into the corner of the mizbech like a mincha, because we learned it from the pasuk of mincha is treated accordingly. Amar Rava. Furthermore, according to Rabbi's approach, eitzim tunin kmitza. You have to crumble up the wood and scoop it like a mincha. Amar Pabba, according to Rabbi, furthermore, the fire, the wood needs more wood. You have to place firewood underneath these woods. Why? Because this wood is carbon, and a carbon needs to be placed on a bed of firewood. No different than any carbon, no different than a mechla, right? So this wood offering has to be accompanied by a firewood beneath it to burn up the wood. Levayna livchas v'nakaimitz. So a person pledged levayna, no less than a kaimitz, and the Mishnah explains because really the shear of a kaimitz is deemed to be the smallest amount, which constitutes an act of haktara. Levayna livchas v'nakaimitz. How do we know that only a shear of kaimetz, of levayna, is considered an act of haktara? So the pasuk describing the act of kmitza, the mincha says like this. So he separates, he removes with his scoop, with his kaimetz, using the flour, the oil. Ve'ez kol levayna. The pasuk refers to levayna as well. So it's a connection. Makash, we connect. Levayna la'aroma, the mincha, we connect. The pasuk connects levayna material to the separated dough of the mincha. Ma harama the mincha kaimetz, just like there it's a kaimetz, he scoops the mincha. Af levayna nami kaimetz, likewise, aktar levayna is required to be a kaimetz of material. Okay, one more piece. Tana Rabbana. A fellow says, Harei alai, I'm committing myself to bring something which is exclusively only for the mizbeach. In contrast to a regular carbon, which part of it goes to the kohen. No, I want to completely donate. I want to donate something which is completely, fully, 100% lemizbeach. There's only one candidate. You have a levayna. The only thing you can do is levayna. Why? You have no other no other material which is completely on mizbeach as levayna is. Levayna is completely burnt on the mizbeach. Because let's say even an oila, right? Even a bird oila, which has no skin to the kohen. We'll see in a minute. Part of it is thrown. It's put in it's like the intestines are separated. You don't have the whole thing on the mizbeach like levayna. That's the only candidate for this. Now let's say pirashti. A fellow says, "Look, I was mefarish. I specified a particular carbon which is completely on mizbeach." Right? So one of those I specify. I can't remember which one. Now Rashi explains here, he expanded it a little bit, even though it's very similar to the previous case, but it's a bit different. Here it's more expanded, because once he's submitting to possibilities, apparently he was expanding his horizon somewhat. As long as it's only to the Mizbeach and not to the Kohanim. So it's a different class, a different category. So we sort of had three categories, right? The previous one was Limizbeach. Completely, 100%, everything on the Mizbeach. The only thing is Levayna. Because anything else isn't 100% on the Mizbeach. But in the next situation, he submitted to some possibilities, and he specified one. Apparently there's more than one possibility. Apparently he was going to a different track. Things which are completely on the Mizbeach, as opposed to being given to the Kohanim. But let's say you have something which is not going to end up by the Kohanim at all, like an oila soy, but also not completely 100% on the Mizbeach, like the intestines which are not completely, or, Menachos where the wine is poured into the drain system. It's not completely on. That would also be covered in this category, like a sort of an in-between, right? So here he has to bring all those as well. Pirashti, I specified that I'm going to bring some carbon which is completely from Mizbeach. So here he has to bring all three things: Levayna, Menachos Nesachim, and Oila Sa'if. None of which go to the Kohanim, so it also fits into this category. Yabi Mikol Dover Shekar Mizbeach. Now let's go back to the first fellow. Harei alai Mizbeach. There's only one possibility, Levayna. Why? With Suleka, there's nothing else that fits that description. What about animal oila? No, the skin go to the Kohanim. That's not complete. What about a bird? There's no skin to the Kohanim. Even there, some parts of the intestines are removed and put into, Rashi says, they're placed on the floor near the Mizbeach and swallowed into the ground miraculously. So in any case, it's not a complete package to the Mizbeach, so it doesn't qualify. What about wine that you pour on the Mizbeach? It's completely on the Mizbeach. No, that's not technically L'shita and Azli. That's poured into the drain system, so it doesn't really qualify. It's not covered by Harei alai lemizbeach. He wants it burnt on the mizbeach, What about Vayika Menachos Nesachim? What about the Menachos Nesachim, the flour and the oil that's mixed together brought with a carbon? Nothing there to the Kohanim. Says the Gemara, Kivan the Ika Mincha Dachal Kohanim, since there are, right, Menachos that the Kohanim eat from, your typical standard mincha, right, the Kohanim on Mizbeach and the rest of the Kohanim, so he wasn't going there. He wasn't thinking along those lines, because it's typical standard mincha does not really fit this description, so even though technically there's one exception, but he wasn't going into the mincha field at all, like psikalei, it wasn't clear to him, it wasn't something that he would entertain, unless he specifies. But otherwise, when he uses this type of language, referring to the Mizbeach only, we assume he didn't go into the Mincha world, where typically the Menachos are eaten by the Kohanim. Rather, he stuck to things which are exclusively, Mizbeach material, which we concluded refers only to Levina. Okay, so really Mizbeach is on Levina, but if he says, I specified I was on fire one of those that go to the Mizbeach, so here he dropped a notch, as long as none of it go to the Kohanim, that's enough. And that covers other possibilities as well, which is Levina, of course, Eilas Oif, Menachos and Sachim, none of which go to the Kohanim. Okay, let's recap today's daf. We spoke about the fellow who can't remember which mincha he promised, which mincha he pledged. He has to bring all 5, but not Menachos and Sachim, that's a different brand with its own unique properties. A fellow pledged a certain amount of Yisroines, can't remember how much. Rabbanan say pack 60 into one kli. Rabbi says bring 60 separate from 1 to 60. We have to always explain this. But the Rebbe, it's 1830 Yisroines in total. Also, if you can't remember which type of mincha, that multiplies it by 5, gets him 9,000 and change of Yisroines. And then we have fellows who are committed to Eitzim, Zav, Kesef, Nechoshes. We learned about the pasuk of Eitzim being considered a carbon. According to Rebbe, Eitzim, Tzrichem, Eitzim. And we discussed definitions in terms of our Mizbeach, what exactly he was referring to. Okay, all the best to you, and Hatzlacha Rabbah.